So very good morning, students. Students, today we are going to discussing the next chapter, which is standard 11th, which is from section 1, which is 1.2 on to the summit. We reach the top by Tenzing Norgay, also known as Sherpa Tenzing. So we are going to start with the first part. Let us first see the icebreakers. So for the icebreakers, we shall first understand the following. Discuss with your partner and complete the web to different activities related to climbing. So we are going to complete the web related with the words which are related with climbing. So the words related with climbing is the first one is leading and seconding. Then you have mountaineering, rappelling, scrambling, ice climbing, bouldering, and once again you have rock climbing. So this is a different type of activity. So the activities which are climbing, the climbing includes an activity done using hands and feet on a steep object or a place. Then scrambling is walking using your hands. So while you're doing scrambling, you are actually using your hands to move your body. Then bouldering includes climbing on small rocks. Then rock climbing is climbing up or down on huge rocks. Leading and seconding, that if you are doing a trekking kind of thing or climbing kind of thing, there is a person who leads you, means he goes first, and seconding is the person who's following him. Rappelling, that is climbing down using a double rope. Then you have mountaineering, climbing up or down on a mountain or a hill, also known as trekking. Then you have ice climbing, that is climbing up or down on an ice structure. Then the next is, there are certain prerequisites for mountaineering. With reference to the following points, develop a short dialogue between you and your friend about mountaineering. So prerequisites for mountaineering, there are some things which should be followed for mountaineering. Let us see what are those. We have to go from the following dialogues such as time, distance, equipment, mental and physical fitness, clothes, training, and etc. So there is a small dialogue between Rohit and Nishant, who are both mountaineers, who are both trekkers, very good trekkers, and there is a short discussion between them. See, so this is a short what is it, dialogue between Rohit and Nishant. So both of them are very good mountaineers, trekkers or hikers, whatever you can call them, and they are planning a trip. See, Rohit, hey Nishant, when is your next trekking trip? Nishant replies, yeah, we are planning at the end of monsoon. We are planning to climb Karsubai Fort, also known as Everest of Maharashtra. This is a very famous fort in Maharashtra. Many climbers, mountaineers have a dream of climbing this particular spot. It is very it's at a very nice height from the sea level. Rohit, I was wondering if I could join you and your team in this small venture. So Rohit wants to join Nishant. Oh sure, you're always welcomed, but there before that you must get in proper shape and start your training, as this venture is different from all the previous ones. So Rohit and Nishant have always been together, it seems, and Nishant is advising Rohit that you should be in proper shape and you should understand the basics of this venture. So Rohit's reply, could you guide me with the training and kit needed? So Nishant replies, yes, firstly the equipment required is a tent, torch, maps, a compass, a cap, a jacket, a mountaineering knife. This is a special type of knife which is used to either cut or fix screws or all those things, also known as the Swiss knife. Then you have a rope specially made for mountaineering. Then a couple of jackets, again a sleeping bag in case you do not find a proper place to sleep, sunscreen, and yes, of course, a bottle. So Rohit, yes, I can get them, no issue with that. So Nishant, for training you need to find a fitness trainer who will train you both mentally and physically, because as you know that in mountaineering there is no person who can help you unless you help yourself. So you should be both mentally and physically fit, and also to develop speed, endurance, strength, and techniques of climbing. If you don't know those advanced techniques of climbing, then going on a trekking would be a foolishness. So Nishant is advising him to do all these things. So Rohit wants to know, do you know anyone? So Nishant says, yes, my team is organizing a 10-day camp, so why don't you enroll your name and join in? And he is also showing him the proper way. So finally Rohit says, that's a great idea, I'll join ASAP, that is as soon as possible, see you tomorrow, and then they go with the bye. Then the next question is, discuss with your partner the various hazards and risks that a mountaineer or trekker has to face in an expedition. So the different problems or hazards or risk of life that a mountaineer or trekker faces is: first, lack of visibility due to the bad weather, that may be snow, mist, fog, or darkness in the night. Then avalanches or rockfall is a common during heavy snowfall or rain. So usually if you are what do you say, trekking on a snowy mountain, avalanches, that is a falling of rocks. And if you are moving on a what do you say, plain rocks or mountains with no snow, then rockfall is a common problem, which is mostly because of rainfall or earthquakes or many other things. Floods can also do a lot of damage. No means of communication, only radio frequency. As you move higher to a higher place on the mountains, mostly we don't find any phone signal. There is only one particular frequency, which is the radio frequency. Especially use the what do you say, we use the walkie talkies to contact with each other, and many different methods. Snow or ice can make the path slippery or lose track. Yes, snow or ice or even heavy rainfall can wash off the path which is already made for you. To maintain body temperature and avoid hypothermia, that is a condition in which body's temperature keeps on falling, so you should train yourself to avoid from such kind of things happening with you. Severe hypothermia can lead to severe damage to the body organs, so you should train yourself to not get caught in hypothermia. Then you have dehydration. Like, so dehydration is also a major problem. You need to keep on your body hydrated with fresh water to drink, and you can even mix it with salt or sugar to energize the climber. So these are the things we need to keep in mind. So now let us see a few things about the writer himself, the author himself. So Tenzing Norway, that is, he was born on 29th of May 1940 to 9th of May 1986, known by birth as Namgyal Wangdi and often referred to as Sherpa Tenzing, was a Nepali Indian Sherpa mountaineer. Okay, he was one of the first two individuals known to reach the summit of Mount Everest, which is approximately 29,000 meters above the sea level. The first of to reach Mount Everest, which he accomplished with his partner Edmund Hillary on 29th of May 1953. So we are talking about a mountaineer, the Nepali Indian mountaineer, who was among the first individuals to reach the highest point of Mount Everest, that is the summit of Mount Everest. So there are a number of honors that which he was received. Some honors such as the Tiger Medal, which was given in 1938, honored by the Himalayan Club for third Everest expedition. So he has what do you say, done a major number of expeditions. Then the Star of Nepal, given in 1953 by King Tribhuvan, that times King of Nepal, for all the accomplishments that he had done in his life. Then he received the Padma Bhushan, that is in 1959, by the government of India for all accomplishments. So in this particular chapter, Tenzing describes the climb to the top and all events occurred during the historic climb. The article also describes that brought him to climbing mountains. So this particular entire lesson is actually a small article from a newspaper, and let us discuss that first. So let's begin with the story. On to the summit, we reach the top. So this story is particularly about Tenzing Norway and his partner Edmund Hillary, the first among the two people who stood tall at the summit of Mount Everest. They were the first to reach the summit of the Mount Everest, which is approximately 29,000 meters above sea level. So let us begin. When we left Camp 9 on Friday morning, I was determined to get to the top on this day. Determined means he had that thing fixed in his mind. He knew that no matter what happens today, he's going to get at the top. That morning I remember thinking I was to get to the top even if I die. So when he set his foot out in that particular morning, he knew that if he's not able to reach the top, he can even die, and he is willing to die if he doesn't reach there. I was not afraid to die that day. We set out early, and all the way from Camp 9 to the peak we alternated. So Alternated here means they were changing places. Earlier in the icebreakers, we have seen the various activities related with climbing. So we have also seen a small activity which meant to be leading and seconding. The first person has to walk and the second has to follow him. In that particular manner, Tenzing and Edmund Hillary, they used to change their place. Means one was going first and second was leading. I would take the lead and then Hillary. The man who follows when climbing has a difficult job both in climbing up and climbing down. So during this particular type of walking, it is difficult for the person who is leading because he has to go first. Okay, I would take the lead and then Hillary. The man who follows when climbing has a difficult job both in climbing up and down. So both had a difficult job, but the more difficult job was of the person who was climbing next to the leader. He is the anchor. The man going in the lead cuts the steps and breaks the way. So this particular job was tough for because he's the anchor, like an anchor of the ship, because he holds the weight and he knows where to stop. Okay, the man going in the lead cuts the steps and breaks the way. Whoever is leading, he actually makes way for the person who's climbing next to him. In my pocket, I had 4 flags. When we still at Camp 4, Colonel Hunt gave me 3 flags, those of Britain, the United Nations and Nepal. He charged me with the duty of planting them in the top of the world. So when he left Camp 4, he had 4 flags in his pocket. Out of those 3, the first was the flag of Britain, the flag of United Nations and the flag of Nepal. So Colonel Hunt was the one who was leading the entire pack of the mountaineers. So in his pockets were 3 maps. The first map was the map of Britain, map of United Nations and map of Nepal. And this Colonel Hunt had given him the duty to plant them on the top of the world. So whenever a mountaineer climbs a mountain, he completes his expedition. The tradition is to put the map of the country or any particular there are different types of organizations or institutions or camps, and you have to put the map on that particular point where you have completed the expedition. This is the tradition. So there were 3 maps in his pocket. These 3 flags are in your care, he said. When you and Hillary reach the top, put them at the peak. I am sure that you and Hillary are going to do it. So not only Tenzing himself, but everybody thought that yes, today is the day, and Tenzing and Hillary were both going to reach to the summit. I told Colonel Hunt that I was carrying the Indian flag with me and I would like to be on the top with the other flags. I had to ask Colonel Hunt's permission in his capacity as the leader of the expedition. So not only did he carry the map of Nepal, the map of United Nations or other maps, but he was carrying the map of India as well, because he wanted that particular map also to be on the top with the other flags. And he had to ask Colonel Hunt because he was the leader of the expedition. Indian flag. Colonel Hunt said, by all means, I am glad to know that you brought the Indian flag. After 1 hour of study going, we cut across from the south faces and started up the west side, where he had to pass up a steep line of rocks. This was slow and difficult. Once we had cleared these, there was nothing barring our way to top but a snow-covered incline, sloping less and less as it neared to the top. So Colonel Hunt didn't show any problem, or he didn't show any hesitation for bringing the Indian flag. He was glad, means he was happy to know that he had brought an Indian flag. So then they started their expedition, and after 1 hour of steady going, so when these people or when anybody is trying to mountaineer or trek on a particular mountain or a kind of similar object, they have to go slowly in the beginning, because every step they have to take is to be slow and proper, because after that point they have to go more above. So he said that as we were passing by the steep line, means as we were crossing towards the upward portion, the lines were getting steeper, means the rocks were getting more and more closer, and there was no space actually for walking up. So they had to go slowly. There was snow covered, sloping less and less as it neared the top. Their last 60 or 70 feet up the top were not very dangerous, but we kept up the same steady pace and we reached the same flattened summit almost together. So he's saying that it was not a difficult task, but we had to go slowly for 60 to 70 feet. They had to go very slow, and this is the key of trekking. This is the actually the real thing of trekking, that while you're walking you have to go really very slow, very steep, means every step you take should be of same steady pace. You cannot go either very fast or you cannot go either very slow. There should be a fixed space. So they reached the summit together. During the last 50 feet from the peak, Hillary and I were moving about 20 feet apart. We were tied together with a rope. Most of the time the rope was loose, but when we went over dangerous ground, we drew it taut. So he's saying that when Hillary and both were moving, one was leading and one was seconding. Hillary and this Tenzing's, there was a rope in between both of them. So when they were going from easy path, the rope was loose, but when they were going from a dangerous ground, it was taut, means it was very tight. Okay, so this rope was a symbol. It tied us together. One could not move. So this rope was a symbol. It tied us together. One could not move without the other. We were not two individuals but a team. So this rope was a symbol of their unity between two different types of people, unity of two different regions of people, one belonging to the United Nations or Great Britain, and along other belonging to Nepal. So two ethnicities, two nationalities, so two different type of people were tied together using the rope. So this showed that they were a team and they were not individuals anymore who were trying to climb the summit. So I have been asked many times who was first. When we were within reach to the summit, I did not think of who was going to be the first. So when you are in an expedition and when somebody is writing an article about you, there is always a question in the people's mind, who was the first? Was it Hillary or was it Tenzing? So he said that while I was we were about to reach the summit, I did not think who was going to be the first. The only idea was getting at the top. I am sure that Hillary was not thinking that climbing take all your attention. You have many more important worries. So when you are on an expedition trying to climb a very huge mountain, the world's the world's tallest mountain, you should not be thinking about who's going to be first, because Hillary also was not thinking about that. There were other worries, because climbing requires a lot of attention. Your balance is there, you have to look at the weather, you have to look at your kit. Everything needs your attention. So a slight mistake may cost them their life or even the failure of the expedition. What does it matter when I reached the top first or Hillary? Our main thought was that both of us reached the top. We had to. One couldn't do it alone. So it didn't matter who reached first. It was not Hillary or him. It was both of them, because they had reached the top. It had to be an one cannot do it alone, means either one of them cannot do it. Both had to do it together as a team. If there had been a difference of 1000 feet between us, then one could make the claim that he was first, but even then only the man behind could confirm the distance between the two of them. So this is what he is trying to tell us, that even if any person would come first, then the condition would be that Hillary would be 1000 feet away from Tenzing. That would not be possible, because it required two people to climb a mountain like Mount Everest or any type of mountain. You cannot just walk alone up. Okay, and if you're walking alone, there should be somebody to confirm that thing, that yes, he was the first, or yes, I was the first. So that could be only confirmed by the person who is behind you. You cannot confirm, you cannot just say I was the first to reach. Okay, so this was the thing. We shall be discussing the later half in the next part.